The 1980s. A decade where shoulder pads were mandatory, synth pop ruled the airwaves, and a ragtag bunch of kids on glorified department store bikes decided to invent a sport called BMX. Welcome to the channel, where we dissect the wild world of two-wheeled mayhem. Today, we're cracking open the time capsule on Elf BMX, a brand born from a dad's garage tinkering that somehow turned the BMX scene upside down. If you're here for nostalgia, innovation, or just to laugh at how far we've come from those lead-weighted death traps, strap in. Now we'll get some bigger pictures of this to show you guys, but I got something custom that I am very excited about. I was making a custom product, contacted Bill from Supercross, who also owns the Torker brand now. I made probably my favorite blanket of all time. Yep. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video. I will address kind of where I've been. Didn't want to really make an entirely different video, so if you would like to see, just go to the end of this one. Let's get to the video. To understand why Elf mattered, we gotta rewind to 1980. Back when BMX was less a sport and more a chaotic experiment in youthful invincibility. The sport had just clawed its way out of the 70s. Born in Southern California, where kids inspired by motocross heroes like Bob Hanna started mimicking dirt bike races on their pedal-powered knockoffs. Organizations like the ABA were barely born, but they were expanding quickly. But the whole scene was just very raw. Think backyard tracks hacked out of vacant lots, no helmets worth a damn, and races that felt like a demolition derby. Now the bikes. Oh boy. Like we've talked so many times on this channel, these weren't precision-engineered missiles. They were Frankenstein from Schwinn Stingrays and whatever scrap metal dad had laying around. Heavy as a guilty conscience, we're talking some 30+ pounds of chromoly steel that handled like a shopping cart with a wonky wheel. The products were frankly crap by today's standards, but that's to be expected. They were clunky, unreliable, and built for cruising to the corner store, not blasting berms at 20 miles an hour. But hey, it was a brand new sport, full of wide-eyed kids turning scrap heaps into speed demons, paving the way for what BMX would become. And enter another hero who said, nah, we knew better. Fast forward just a single year to 1981 in Santa Ana, California. Not exactly the Silicon Valley of bike tech, but close enough. Ken Pendergraft wasn't unique in his motivation, just in his execution. Like so many early garage innovators, he was a dad first, a tinkerer second. His story echoes a pattern we've seen again and again in BMX. Fathers who looked at flimsy, off-the-shelf bikes their kids were breaking and thought, I can make something better than that. Pendergraft's solution, like all the others, wasn't born out of profit, but protection. A way to give his kid a tougher ride, one that could keep up with their ambition. That blend of necessity and family pride was the hidden fuel behind a lot of the sport's first real progress. He fired up the welder in his garage and birthed Elf BMX, short for Extra Light Frame. These early frames were pint-sized wonders, shedding pounds like a crash diet, tailor-made for racers who wanted to fly. It wasn't rocket science. Just good old-fashioned obsession with shaving grams and boosting grins. Elf was proving that a lighter bike meant faster laps and fewer faceplants. Elf went the opposite approach. Back in the day, if you start looking at some of the trends, there were some brands trying to go lighter, but let's take Panda for instance. Panda was one of the first people to make a truly specific BMX bike after like the Schwinn Stingray era. And the Panda bike that came out it's a cool bike. That thing weighed 40 to 50 pounds. They went the opposite direction. They were trying to make a motorcycle that you pedaled, not a lightweight BMX race bike. As the 80s revved up, Elf evolved from garage gremlin to track terror. Ken's crew dialed in double-butted frames by 89, including the Pro Long for those lanky lads who outgrew their kids' bikes but not their need for speed. They cooked up oddball innovations like the zip-back seat post, 2 pieces for ultimate adjustability, and the blast bars. Stiff as a board meeting. Sponsoring hotshot riders, Elf Frames started collecting podiums. And this was the time to be in BMX. This is when BMX started popping off mainstream. It was in movies like E.T. But Elf really wasn't chasing the fads. They wanted to keep it real, light, fast, and unapologetically rad. Then came the 90s, Elf's glory days, or as I like to call it, the double cross era. In 91, Ken dropped the bomb, the Elf double cross frame, with its quad chainstay setup that looked like it was designed by a spider on steroids. And it's somewhat reminiscent of the old Supercross, like same idea. Let's stiffen up that rear end. Double stays on each side for stiffness that could make a diamond jealous. Better sprint power and stability that turned rough tracks into butter. Riders ate it up. Sleek, tough, and a total head turner. By '93, they snagged ABA Bike of the Year, and Elf was the name on every racer's lips. By the late '90s, the BMX world flipped. Aluminum frames flooded the market, lighter and cheaper, while economic headwinds battered small outfits, with most of your frame manufacturers moving overseas so they could produce cheaper and lighter at the same time. Not necessarily better, but cheaper and lighter. And in 1998, Elf shuttered, leaving a trail of heartbroken fans and skyrocketing collectors' prices. For 2 decades, Elf was silent. They became mythical artifacts, traded in hushed tones as swap meets. And sadly, Ken Pendergraft's death in 2018 marked the end of his own story, but not the end of Elf, a brand still carrying his fingerprints in every weld. It was the quiet close of a life defined by craft, care, and the stubborn belief that BMX could always be made better. But if death was the end of Ken's story, it wasn't the end of Elf. And in 2019, Kenny Pendergraft, the young boy in the early 80s that inspired his father Ken to even start this entire journey, dusted off the family legacy and relaunched Elf. Tapping into that sweet retro vibe. We're talking USA-made chromoly DX cruisers with the iconic double stays, customizable bits like brake bosses and steer tubes, even aluminum racers for the modern speed freaks, parts galore, bars, stems, forks, the works, and as of 2025, still kicking. It's pretty cool watching them have a factory team. They post about that, and at these, in the same breath, they can talk about their artifacts that hit the BMX Hall of Fame. Elf is proving that good ideas, like bad habits, never really die. And I have no leg to stand on here whatsoever, but the timing of Elf coming back and the passing of Ken Pendergraft Sr., just in my head, I think that Kenny's father passed away and he wanted to continue his dad's legacy with Elf. They still own the name. One cool thing about Elf is they never quite really got rid of the name. So they did shutter and they did close down, but they still owned Elf. So in 2019, a year after the original founder's passing, his son reopened the doors to the public and started producing once again. From clunky 80s relics to timeless innovators, Elf's saga is BMX in a nutshell. It's gritty, ingenious, and forever evolving. It's a reminder that sometimes the best revolutions start in a garage with a welder and a why not attitude. And if you have an Elf, post it below. I want to see both. I want to see the old, new. If you have both, if you've got a 2019 and newer and an old 80s Elf, that would be awesome. Send them to me. If anybody has a connection with somebody at Elf or maybe knows Kenny or something, I would love to do a complete story. I know that there's probably one there, especially with their revival. So I do have to say thank you guys for all of your continued support. I've just seen in the comments where people are asking kind of where have I been. I just wanted to let you guys know this channel's not going anywhere, but sometimes life happens. We've got some health issues within the family that's taking up some of my time, and not complaining about that whatsoever. Family always comes first. But I'm not going anywhere. I will continue to do this, but I have to keep YouTube as a passion project so I don't think of it as a job. Does that make sense? I don't want this to end up being something that I feel like I have to do. And I just had to let you guys know because y'all have supported me over the years. If you look at my videos from, 6-7 years ago, they are complete garbage. I've come a long way, and it's all thanks to you guys. I don't want the quality to slip on these videos. I was trying to pump these out and stick to my time frames that I like to stick to, and sometimes some information slipped through the cracks. I don't want that to continue to happen. So I'm going to make sure that these videos get done to the best of one man's ability. This is a single dude show over here. So there you have it. That's all I got for you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. I love you all.